DreamHack Open is brought to you by Corsair, Intel, and Monster Energy.
We began the weekend with 8 teams, now just 2 remain. Big, the hometown heroes and the Aussies of Renegades will be colliding in this grand final of the ages, but only one can lift the glorious DreamHack Open Trophy and take the lion's share of $100,000 prize money. My name is Freya, your desk host for the duration of the weekend, and joining me are the ever wonderful Potter and Maniac. We have had an awesome day of games. This grand final is promising to be everything it's shaped up to be.
Absolutely, an awesome weekend, awesome day, and if you had asked me on the first day to name a grand final, I would have been wrong. I would have been dead wrong. I did not imagine that we'd get Big versus Renegades, but in both cases, I'm actually right. I'm happy I was wrong. I'm really happy I was wrong. What Big is showing is amazing. Renegades, every step of the way proved me wrong. I betted against them all the time, and they always won, so I was very happy to be wrong the whole weekend.
Hey, it's always better to be pleasantly surprised than disappointed, right? And I think both of these teams showing up, especially Big on home soil, you're absolutely right. It's amazing to watch, and I'm definitely ready for this grand final.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be getting into this. But if you guys have missed out on any of the incredible matches this morning, fear not. We're going to give you a little bit of a recap of how these two teams got here with our playoff bracket. Obviously, earlier this morning, we saw Renegades taking it 2-1 against Mad Lions. And then moving on to the matchup that we just saw, Big 2-0 to Rogue. We thought, obviously, both of these had the potential to go the full 3 maps, but Big, no. They said, we'll do it in 2. We'll do it in 2 for the crowd, which are out there supporting them in their droves. I'm so excited for them to be walking out onto the stage. But guys, I kind of want to pick up on your point there of we didn't necessarily expect to see both of these teams coming in, but it isn't through any luck. It's through their sheer determination and showing up when it matters most. It's been so important.
Oh no, it's absolutely not because of luck. Absolutely not. I mean, Big, I do believe they might be a little bit overperforming right now, but these are the conditions. This is part of Counter-Strike. First of all, they changed the lineup. We can call it the honeymoon period, sure. They play on home soil. I was watching the semifinal in the crowd. It's insane. People are going crazy. Every kill, every frag on the side of Big just triggers. This person with the scout just won, and then my ears are like, oh my god, okay, the crowd is here. So it's part of the game, it's part of the experience, and if you're Big, you want to use that fuel to win the grand final.
Exactly, indeed. I love that impression. That's like the most pinpoint impression I've ever seen in my life. And of course, we had a chance to chat with our 2 grand finalist teams ahead of this grand final. Let's see what they had to say.
Trying to take the fight to the terrorists, and there's 2 kills.
We definitely didn't imagine it.
Cold, hard hold. 5 surviving for Renegades.
There's like no pressure on the way we want to play. We just play our own game and try and get to the finals, and here we are.
We reached more than we wanted to, so now we have nothing to lose, and I think we will just show our best Counter-Strike now.
Big as opponent is going to be quite crazy. They've got a very unique style of play. Their plays are really insane. They're really sharp, super smart as well. We definitely can take down Big. It'll be hard with all the crowd, but yes.
What a pain in the backside he must be for Mad Lion.
Really good opponent. I mean, we won against them, but they showed like that they are much better than that game probably that we had against them. So we don't underestimate them, and I think it will be a tough match. That trophy should stay in Germany now.
Yes, we can take this final. Let's get this game started. But yeah, let's just shoot some heads.
Our two grand finalist teams, and the crowd, as you can hear, are out in full support of Big. It must be an incredible experience, but it isn't an experience that they haven't already experienced. They've been in this exact position in 2017. They were out on this very stage in Leipzig in the grand final, but it didn't go their way. They lost out. Speaking to them earlier, it doesn't sound like they're going to be doing that again.
No, I really like that Toby's interview said the trophy stays in Germany. I think he said it with a very strict voice. And
Your impressions are spot on today, Matthew.
I actually did a great job. I actually used to work a little bit with Toby. He's a great guy. And whenever he talks to you and gives you the motivation, I can tell you, you will feel it now. You said it. In 2017, it wasn't enough. It was just Tapson, though. Gobby was playing. Now he's in the coaching staff. But judging by Tapson's performance, I think he's ready to change that. He's ready to make it a trophy today.
I think that's what's so exciting. There is so much on the line for this matchup. Just alluding to what Dexter said in that interview, though, he was kind of echoing our sentiments of he was surprised that he ended up in a grand final, right? It wasn't the teams that you were expecting to be ending up in this situation. I think that's the sort of sentiment that he's echoed throughout every time we've spoken to him. He's just been very humble, very grounded, taking it one day at a time, and he's landed here. It's pretty good.
Exactly, and I think it's really good for Renegades to be able to adjust your expectations and take baby steps for this team. We have to remember, once again, these are very new teams. I think the honeymoon period for both of these squads is absolutely there, and I think it's a mixture of a little bit of both of what you mentioned earlier, Freya. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, and I mean, it's taking them all the way through here.
I mean, if we talk about Dexter, and we could probably do a 5-hour podcast about him and what he has done at this event, because it's absolutely insane. I saw NBK's tweet that he was probably one of the most underrated players in the world, and based on what I have seen these few days, I would tend to agree. I mean, his impact is absolutely insane, specifically his ability to get one frag and then anticipate exactly where the next one is going to be. And for you at home, that means his game sense is on point. He understands the game, he knows where the danger is coming from. When he gets one, he's already ready for the second one, and that is something, as an analyst, that's something that just makes me happy.
I think what's so impressive about him is some people sort of say brain or aim, choose one. He has got both. He is the perfect synergy of both of them, and I absolutely love watching him turn up on the server.
It's definitely a mixture of both. Multiple times he's either flanking or he's finding his enemies not even looking his way, so he's able to follow up with the second and third kill more often than not, and that's the beauty of being a cerebral player, not just relying on winning out every duel that you come out with, but making sure that you win rounds for the collective effort of the team.
Now, moving on to the side of Big, we just saw them performing against Heroic, and it wasn't necessarily a tale of just one player. They were all stepping up as and when they need to, and I think that's what's so dangerous, coming straight off of that into this grand final.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They are looking threatening as hell. I mean, before that game, I called out Thurston. I said, listen, I think we need more from you. You're gonna need to have an impact. You're gonna need to take your responsibility. And why did he do? He had, I think, 18 or 19 opening duels in like a best of 3, which is insane. Top frag on Inferno, and Tapson said it. He has this ability to just take the round and offer you a 5v4. It's like your in-game leader, here, have a gift. Take this 5v4 and take us to victory, and they actually have the highest conversion. So what it means that whenever they get this opening kill, they win the round most of the time. So in that sense, Thurston, a pure magician.
They do win the round most of the time, but one thing that I am slightly worried about is the depth of this team, because they are so new, and because we saw Searson having so much success with the dry peaks, with no flashbangs, with the contact plays. He had so many opening kills with that. We have to remember the Renegades guys have been watching these big guys play, and I think that they're going to be able to find the holes because of the gimmicky type style plays that Searson was doing. I mean, he was just walking up mid on Inferno with 0 nades in the very beginning of the round. These kinds of plays are very much punishable, and I'm expecting Renegades to try to capitalize on that.
100%. I think that's the perfect place to remind everybody that obviously these two teams have already faced each other. They faced each other in a best of one, and of course it was Big taking the win on that. Do you think, obviously it was a best of one, so it was only one map. Do you think that's gonna kind of change the map veto or alter the map veto at all?
I think so, but I don't think so, actually. I think, sorry, I think the coach has realized, I mean, he said it in the interview, right? I think the day one Renegades is a completely different style of team than we're seeing here today. And I think Dexter, his humbleness, they're starting to slowly start garnering up some confidence, you know, because in the day one, they were like, maybe we'll make it to the semifinals. Now they're finding themselves in the finals. I think they're going to be a different type of team for sure.
100%. And what are you kind of expecting coming out of this from the bans first?
Well, here's the thing. So Renegades have been removing Vertigo, and I think that plays into Big's game plan because they don't really play Vertigo either. So if I'm Big, then I have the luxury of not removing Vertigo. I think Big either remove Dust 2 or they remove Train. I think these are the two maps in which they feel the least comfortable going up against the Renegades. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. You have the Train ban. Now when it comes to picks, that becomes a mystery to me. That becomes, let's say, many different possible scenarios. You go for Mirage, you go for Inferno again. We have seen Big having success time and time again for Inferno. Not exactly sure.
Definitely, and it's either Big going to be picking Nuke again just because it's a confidence pick for them. They beat Renegades on day one. Or it could be Renegades coming out swinging and saying, hey, we know exactly where our shortcomings were. Even though we lost on that Nuke,
we're
picking it. No, not this time around.
If they had peak Nuke, that would have been such a play. Listen, we are not afraid of you at all. But yeah, you have Mirage and Dust 2. I cannot help but think if I'm Big right now, I feel happy about this situation, right? We talked about it, and you just said it before. What is the depth of Big's game plan? There are some mistakes here and there. There are some dry peaks. If I'm Renegades, do I not push them into a tactical map? Do I not push them into the limits? So far, so good. And you get Inferno. If you're the Germans, Inferno as a third map. You have a 100% win rate in this event so far. It's amazing.
They have a 100% win rate on every map. Well,
actually,
they haven't played every map,
it,
but they haven't dropped a map in this whole event.
Have we seen Mirage this tournament?
I cannot remember looking at Mirage.
No, was it a third map? I feel like I've definitely seen it come up on the graphic.
Mirage? I haven't seen Mirage. Maybe I just forgot. Let's just assume that we haven't seen Mirage.
Maybe no Mirage.
My point is that Mirage is such a freestyle map, especially for a player like Searson. I just talked about his dry peeking, his contact plays, Renegades potentially punishing that. But with Mirage being the first map, I mean, this is a map that Searson can really have a lot of freedom. And with that freedom, I'm assuming he's going to be able to capitalize on it. Yeah,
100%. I'm so excited to see that map play out. And obviously, keeping on the topic of Big, we were talking about, obviously, every player we've seen step up. And they've just been growing in their confidence, it seems, throughout the tournament. I'm wondering who you're going to be sort of keeping your eye on in this series.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer would be Tapson, but actually, because of what just happened, Searson is going to be my man. Because of what he just did in that semifinal, now the question becomes, and as you just said, Renegades probably watch them play. They know what is going to happen. Is Searson able to replicate that kind of results when he's waiting, when people know what he's going to do? Searson, Tapson, these two, they make the difference, and then you have the clean crew, Santares, coming after with fire. Perfect.
Yeah, I loved talking to Tabson after their matchup. Obviously, he was so full of confidence. He has been every time we've spoken to him, though, to be fair. And obviously, he's going to be remembering that time in Leipzig in 2017. Obviously, a completely different side they're facing up against in the grand final. But these guys are so experienced with big stages. I'm just thinking back to Cologne. Like, they had some incredible performances. I think, that was 2018?
Yeah, I was just thinking it's a long time ago, but it is valid.
A long time ago. But they have got the experience up on big stages, where on the Renegades side, maybe, I don't know, not so much.
There's least experience.
Least experience indeed, but this is their very first Open that they've attended, but it's kind of backwards for these Renegades guys because they've attended multiple DreamHack Masters in all of 2019. I believe they attended both of them. So although the Opens were not very familiar with these Renegades guys, they've been around the block on multiple occasions.
Well, do you guys have a player that you want to keep track of on Renegades as well? Who will you be keeping your eye on?
Can we not say Dexter? Can we not? I'm actually asking the question, can we not say Dexter? No, we cannot. We cannot not say. That is a terrible sentence to say. We'll have to say Dexter, obviously, because of the work he's been putting in, the interviews he's given, and just he's impressive outside and on the server. And to me, that is a great, complete package for a player. Just the right mindset, impactful on the server, leading his troop, leading by example as well, because you have to think, he's his playstyle and what we see on the server, I am sure transpires through the communication, for example. I think he's very quiet to play with. He probably gives a lot of confidence to his teammates. And if you're an aspiring in-game leader, well, keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on this guy, because he's doing all right so far.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when we spoke to Malta after their win earlier this morning, he was saying, I sort of asked him, like, how is it playing with Dex? Did you guys just totally trust him and just allow him to do what he does? And it was just, yep. That's it. That was literally all he had to say about it. I thought there might have been, you know, a little bit of talking about what he's going to be doing, but it seems like, no, he just goes out, he does the pushes, he gets the info, and he opens things up for his team. I think that's what's so important about him as a player. But obviously, we've also got Ince and Seeko. I kind of want to speak a little bit about those guys. I think it was you, Potter, that highlighted that Seeko needed to step up. He did do coming into that second day, and we haven't really seen him dropping off in form since then.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, Seeko, I think just on day one, we were wondering, you know, what kind of Seeko are we going to be able to expect to see? And he's definitely proved us that he's here to stay, and he's here to wield that op and show up in that server, and he absolutely has. I'm wondering if he's going to be able to clutch quite as many rounds as he did on the Cloud9 series in this series, just because these big guys, that honeymoon period, Searson, 1v1 versus Seeko, I don't know. This is a tricky one.
Yeah, they have the whole honeymoon pack right now. They are somewhere in the Poconos or in the Bahamas. They're having a really good time on the side of Big. It's smiles all around, motivation, high fives. You want it, you get one. Everything is going cool for Big. That is the best time when you're a player. You're home, everything is feeling great. You're about to play the grand final. You know you're going to have everyone on your side. You just need that little fire, and then it's going to be an explosion. That is a good time to be a player.
Well, I think that's perfect segue into our predictions. Does that mean that you're going to be picking Big to win the entirety of DreamHack?
Oh yeah, I'm Big all the way.
Big all the way?
Big all the way.
What about you, Christine?
Big all the way from me as well. I'm going with Big here.
I think it's going to be across the board. We want to make the crowd happy as well. You guys have been showing up and cheering for this team so good. You've been the sixth player. I think that's fair to say. But let's also check out our Twitch chat predictions as well. I'm sure, yes, it's going to be heavily favoring the side of Big, 76% going with them. We'll be back for our final match of the entirety of DreamHack Open Leipzig after this. Make sure you join us then.
Stop playing games, I need a taste what I'm waiting for. Oh, your smooth talk just ain't enough. You got to give me more. It takes a lot to lock me down, so show me what you got. We can't keep on going on like this. Come on and make me jealous. You've got to turn it on. You know I love the chase, but I can only wait so long. Come on and make the effort. Don't leave me hanging on. You know I love the chase, but I can only wait so long. Wait so long. Wait so long. So much unsaid inside my head, I want to say to you. Can't wait forever, just tell me whether you feel the way I do. Just let it out, no room for doubt, just say I feel it too. We can't keep on going on like this. Come on and make me jealous. You've got to turn it on. You know I love the chase, but I can only wait so long. Come on and make the effort. Don't leave me hanging on. You know I love the chase, but I can only wait so long. Wait so long.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are one step closer to getting this grand finals underway. It is myself, Scrawny, joined by Launders to bring you guys this action. And I gotta say, Leipzig, it's a pleasure. You guys have been loud and proud all day long. Big, been using that energy to get themselves into the finals, Launders, but they have one final hurdle before they maybe lift this trophy to begin 2020, and that's the Renegades.
The Renegades, you've been afraid. It is a big hurdle, too, and it's going to be a tough veto for them, considering they've got to go up against them on Dust 2, and just 2 maps they like. So it'll be a big feat, no pun intended, but for the team at this event, it's just been nothing but anomalies the whole way through. This is a team that you didn't expect to get this far in the first place. I wouldn't be surprised if they further those results.
Yeah, definitely not. I feel like, Renegades kind of, they were like a hurdle from a distance that you thought you could jump over, but then once you got up to it, it's a bit more intimidating. Right. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's in store for this one. I'm glad I'm not an analyst. I'm glad I don't have to put my prediction out there because I just want to walk into this server, Launders, and let these guys do what they do. Mm-hmm. We had some really cool, stellar performances from individuals on each side of these teams, and that's what really kind of gets me excited, is that we've got a guy like Dexter, who, at least for me personally, has grabbed most of my attention for Renegades.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, it's just like we're just echoing everybody's sentiments right now. Dexter has been the man of every series for Renegades so far, and it's just that we know so much about him outside of the game as well. It just makes this whole Dexter conversation even more appealing, and it's kind of interesting. But yeah, just within rounds, there's so much to pick apart about the way that he plays. Yeah. It's not just about how flashy his aim is, or just like how nice his sprays are. His positioning is so cool, and his decision making is awesome. So I'm looking forward to basically every round that we get to see Dexter play in, on top of the rest of the Renegades, who are definitely living up to the big shoes they're trying to fill.
Yeah, of course, and fresh shoes to be filled. That would be Hats taking the place of Dick Stacy. I think that Hats being included in this lineup kind of has, at this moment, slingshotted them forward in a way. And I'm not sure what it is, per se, if it's just the roles that seem to click, but when we speak of roles clicking, that's when we turn our attention over to Big. Mm-hmm. A roster who we've seen individually not have enough to just pick up any real performances throughout the end of 2019, and yet now, this one, the first showing of these guys on LAN, and they did give that credit to Keto. They think that's why maybe Tabson is kind of popping off here. That's why he's been shining too, just like Dexter. And it's kind of beautiful that we get both of them sitting in the center line.
It really resonates with me when they talked about how Keto freeing up Tabson from his past responsibilities allows him to play in a way that he wants. But we are into the match, folks. Let's make some noise for map 1 Mirage.
Big to the T side, utility on Tabson. Flash for Tizian, and Sicko's gonna go ahead and eat a little bit of damage. Not too bad. Still Big, already able to get themselves out from ramp. There's no challenge here whatsoever. Renegades gonna start going for their peaks. And Int is able to nab the first body, but he is very much pinned into that firebox. So Malta, he's the one that's dancing left and right here. What a stalemate we're having in this moment on the site. Tabson's response, that's the headshot versus Malta. Now Int goes one in. He's kind of got to. He's trying to set up Dexter, who they may not realize has tucked himself behind the boxes, but there's low HP all over the board. This is a hell of a pistol, so tight, but it all slows down again. It's like everything is here. It's supposed to implode. This bomb site's just supposed to have action, but silence blankets the server, and that's only gonna make Renegades nervous.
They should be. Dexter actually starts to move out into position, taking control now of Underbalk as they reaggress, finding the perfect moment of opportunity. Dexter will also have a free kill to his name, potentially head pops right in front of him, and another. As a second bullet's used to take him out, Xantaris now left in a 1v2 versus a 9 and 8 HP player. If they play headshot angles, they become a difficult target.
He sticks this, and the peek from Hats is enough to take him down. Oh, for a moment it looked like maybe he'd fake it. Anticipate that peek, drop a body, but no sir. Renegades, they will take their pistol.
And from the beginning of the round, they have a great setup. They have the 4 players on the A site. They have 3 right side sites, so that means they'd be within smokes if they came. Those smokes did not even come. Big decided they go for a walkout right out the gate, and there was no cause for rotation, no suspicion about the thought that it might be a B play, and instead they just played right into Renegade's hands. They still come out with a few favorable trades, then pulling out of the site and then coming back in almost cost them, but it's kind of good that Renegades won that round because they had the correct read.
Yeah. from the get-go. It was just that hesitation from Big that maybe put things into question. But crisp USP headshots is how they got into this finals. Gotta give a tip of the hat to Renegades in that regards. Malta looking for somebody to bag here on Catwalk. Ooh, that frag grenade. Zentera's lucky to get a nade off of his own. 5 health, all that he has left over. They've taken a decent amount of map control here. They've gotten their footing up Catwalk. When that smoke fades on Connector, maybe it opens a line of sight for the scout.
Very nice for the pistols right now. There's no one in window watching that cat push. So we've got CPL control for the T's. They've started to kind of swing back, get into the B halls, and collect up. They've got one player as well, Keto, who's hanging back at A, who doesn't have the utility to make presence, but still has the body. There it is, actually, his one smoke comes over into the front of Connector. This is just going to assist in Tapson if he wants to go out. The 3 players joined by Keto now will attempt to force their way into Hats.
There it is. Oh, man, the MP9 mowdown. Doesn't even see the other players. He has an inkling as to where they are. And he continues the spray for the 3-piece. Nicely done here. That threat just evaporates, but here comes Keto with a big D. Oh, second, and he's got a teammate on the site. That teammate, with a lot to do, taps it at bat, drops another body, but no more. Renegades convert with 3 members dying.
Kind of nice they got that kill. And that's just what happens versus the MP9 if you shoot it. If you shoot at the first target, you get a kill. You're just spraying as many bullets as you can. All of the residual damage from earlier on in the round paid off, as you saw from Sicko. Did something like 90 plus damage to those 2. But Keto comes through, gets a couple of deagles. That's nice. It's more so, it's less so him collecting kill reward and more so making them rebuy into this round where they know they're going up against Glocks. There are 2 sets of utility here for Big. They're setting up for the A hit. 3 out of halls. I like this. Nice and close to the bomb plant zone, but Ints, is in the A ramp, very close to the action. He's not going to get blinded.
That utility be called, thrown over, so we know he's fighting off versus a couple of players here, and that's such a substantial grenade outside of Palace. I mean, it just rips any hopes at desperately jumping that bomb into the site itself. I mean, Big, they knew that the odds were against them, Launders, but they were hoping for something, and they get absolutely nothing.
We can agree that Renegades are the hardest opponent so far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say so.
They've shown that they've just been so good. This is the proper final test. It should be the hardest match, and I think it is. And the circumstances for Renegades, I mean, there's a little bit more pressure now that they're in the finals, but we still see they're the same team.
Remember, of course, the only reason Renegades were not through the group 2-0 was because they lost versus Big on Nuke. But that map not in this series, so I do not feel comfortable if I am Big. I don't bank on that BO1. Having watched Renegades throughout the weekend, you know they have to respect them here. So let's go into the gun rounds.
Something interesting about the movement of the CTs is we see a lot of mid-presence from the CT players. We've got someone patrolling that Sicko between the window, jungle, and connector. In the previous anti-eco, didn't even bother spotting off cat from window. Now they're also giving it up. Almost a full passive setup besides the A ramp push. So this can lure Big into the thought that it might be a smart move to go ahead and take up mid. And they might be correct about that. That's technically free map control. But certainly Renegades are prepared for this. It's for some reason in their playbook to avoid the early aggression, the early contact out the window in connector and on cat. We'll see if the honeypot works. But if we look at the setup on the minimap, Dexter is in the dangerous spot.
Sicko loses more than half HP. Smoke grenade goes down on the catwalk. That's one of the last few pieces of utility here for Big. You can see Malta on the back of that B bomb site just peering down Cat. Every once in a while, he has Hats to do the exact same. Drawing out the molly from Apps isn't going to burn him into the open, but he offers himself forward, and just like that, the B site falls. But a fast hit from Dexter, not going to be good for more than 1. Man advantage for Big as bomb goes down. They're playing with a scout and an MP9, and that could be enough. Sicko mode. So far, 5-1, 3 assists on the board as well, and Ints has all this HP, so he's gonna close that distance. Big, they're just trying to hold on to the corners here. They're allowing Renegades to get close, and then the timing works for him, but is the trade Able, Sicko, no! Tizian takes 2 and gets big on the board.
Tizian more than once has been the man of the hour on Overpass. That 1v3, he's been great on the rifle play, great in the clutch. Specifically there, he shows his prowess even more. Fantastic round by him. Overall, the entries into the B site on top of that helped out quite a bit. Dexter had a fantastic flank. It was nice and fast. He got out of connector, which is a much scarier job than most people will give you credit for, and got up on the cat flank just as they turned the corner. He had 2 teammates in B who needed to get kills and couldn't do that. That's where the round fails for the Renegades. You've got to contribute on a frag basis as well as positionally. Sicko with a fantastic upward flick on the cat. Searson is out of the round, but they are still in it. Xantares is now low after getting a trade for himself. The Renegades are way up though. Dexter gets another kill.
Awesome, bouncing right back. Leaving it on just Xantares, who obviously has nothing to say in this round. Stellar rifle work in Renegades. Not going to make this easy for Big. An immediate response launders with their rebuy. So all things considered, they're just shaking off the previous round. They know they walked into that with scouts and MP9s. This time, easy peasy.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they did have, once again, the correct setup. Having 2 people in B and a fast rotate to B, that's enough to hold the site. They couldn't do it because they couldn't frag. And that round, they do a similar setup where they kind of pull the goalie on mid, and they overstack towards A, and they feel very confident if Big want to give them attention in the connector. So now Big, it seems like they might try to prove themselves a little bit on the B side. They don't have much money to work with, so it's just going to be an eco. They're just going to throw themselves out here with a couple of flashes and hope for the best.
Ooh, you see his bodies. Puts the Molotov down in case they jump out the windowsill, but Xantares. Great deagle headshot, Og spray, substantial damage, but Xantares has gotten his hands on a rifle, and as has Tabson. Bomb down, and a potential retake here. 2 kits, utility, but that valuable op launders, you know they have to be calculating potential losses.
It's not fun exiting out of market into the B side. We know that much. Also another warning sign from Keto.
Save call.
Yeah, that's it. They pull it back. Big pick up a round. Easily, too. Just for the initial 2 frags. Fantastic entry from Xantares with the deagle. And that's enough to shy them away. It just gets too hard on the B side. So this is a round that Big did not expect to win. They're actually coming into this with money left over. So they're going to have tons of money to help them operate a comeback if that is the case. I'd say B is what they're thinking about the most. If they want to default into a round right now, I think they can maybe lure Renegades into thinking it's going to be some type of A play. But then I think ultimately they want to try to avoid that unless they get early entries, or easy entries, I should say.
What's this rebuy look like? Not too shabby. It's going to have all the utility they could hope for. Lacking 1 gun. Patience here from Big, anticipating maybe some mid-aggression, but Renegades don't seem too desperate.
Yeah, we're getting an alternative look. Sicko coming out to actually jump on Cat, misses the jump. We don't have to talk about that, but then goes to connector, spots mid. Either way, he was supposed to have eyes on it.
It's a big frag from Dexter. That cuts off the entirety of what Big had on the opposite side of the map, so it is very much just 4 members here in on A. Xantares again at the forefront, sees the shadow of the player on default and takes him down. Smoke to go up and over. Dexter gonna be trying to play in front of it. He eats a bit of a flash, but at least Palace is still countered, so he is just honed in on ramp, and he sees them slightly. Nobody yet presenting themselves, and when finally they commit, he goes down immediately. But it's a 3v3 turn 2. Keto could very well be making the difference, but Malta, he's just thrown himself into the site, limited by the deagle from the get-go, starts to fire it off, but already Tabson's past him. 2 more members survived there. You can see it. The moment that Keto was able to get into the action from Palace, that A site fell apart.
That was big. Yeah, Dexter wanted to come up with those kills. The rotate, it seemed like when they killed Tizian, when Dexter got that name tag, it was a huge read. They had everybody shift over slightly towards A. Then I think they mentally thought it might have been an over-adjustment. They slowed down a bit. By that time, Big had started to bully their way into the site, and they did such a good job with the 2 men that were kind of there on full-time duty and ended up getting those kills.
Mac 10 just so confident in this moment, knowing that it's a flat Renegades in this round. Mushed into the dirt, USP's desperate for something, and they can keep 5 members alive, this is a really sick chance for Big to rebound early.
So far, more impressed with Big's fragging potential than anything else. Sometimes Renegades have great reads on the situation. They're stacking the right sides correctly. They're not over-rotating when they don't need to, but still Big are able to come up with a lot of key frags in unfavorable spots. And because they get the rounds in those spots, the confidence starts to slip away from the Renegades.
Confidence is slipping away, but not the momentum. We're still pretty even here. Score considered 2, but wow, the aggression coming out of Big. Even despite this being a full-fledged buy, they decide to charge inwards. Tizian clearing the man out from Balk, has this A site open, but it's Searson who goes one better. Over the top of stairs, taking a man advantage, putting Sicko's op into such an awkward spot, he'll find no line of sight as of yet, but with 2 Ts pinned behind fire, he could use the stairs to take them down. The Molly comes out. Now that's going to confirm they're definitely still in there.
Oh, so much damage.
That's got to hurt. All the while, Searson can just hold this cross, and sure enough, that's all it's going to take. They've convinced Renegades to save yet again.
Yeah, their hopes fade away. They get out of there, and Big do a good job in the post plant, once again shying away the opposition at minimal cost. There on the A site are once again able to always get one person without that person getting a kill. In this situation, I believe Malta was the first one to die, or the first one. I don't know if he was the one, sorry, I can't remember if he was the first one to die, but he came up short, obviously, and that was a big problem. But they're doing a really good job on the entries. Now also at A, you can kind of add that on to their successful B plays as well. They take a small lead. Sicko's going to pick up the op once, or he's going to hold on to the op. They're not going to reinvest behind it.
I think Big are setting quite the tempo so far in this Mirage game. We've had them charging up Catwalk on the anti-ecos, but to just run out ramp that aggressively versus full-blown buys, it's a scary sight. I mean, we've been praising Renegades as one of the teams who have been setting aggressive paces. How they dismantled Cloud9, but here we go. 1 op, 1 M4 Mohan, and already they're in this 5v3. Each of those weapons has at least started this off. Damn, Big. Gonna have to play off the back foot. A deagle shot right through the wall. Further up damage, but Tizian does at least curb off that M4. Malta is able to procure it, but it's covered. And now Xantares can take the place of the weapon, combining with his teammates in apps. And looking to just take this B site entirely. What a bounce back.
Yeah, Xantares has been such a key player. He's always coming in for that second kill. It's always like a miraculous headshot. He's wasting no time. But it looks like the retake might still be on. They're just testing the waters. They want to see if a free kill comes. If not, they'll obviously turn tail, hang on to the op, which is such an important weapon. And it looks like Ince will be the only one to stick around, see what he can do. Tizian obviously quite low. It's understood that Tizian gets away with murder.
Yeah, all things.
That second kill, yeah.
It starts off, when you save those 2 weapons, I mean, this round began exactly how they could have hoped for. Op on one side of the map, M4 the other, each get a pick. How do you force Big into a 3 versus 5 and not maintain those guns? Well, it's Tizian. He takes all this deagle damage to the edges of the walls. Drops the M4, clearly sets those CTs scrambling to pick it back up and uses a nade of all things to create that space for Xantares.
A few things we like from Big. They're fragging. They're not taking too much time. They're making, and they've opened up a lot of options on the map. They're also limiting, I just think, they're just limiting like Renegades on these site holds even when they pick the correct sites. We'll see if that happens one more time. Now we've got a lot of presence towards mid with the CTs. They have started to scurry around underpass. We know that in the past, Dexter has gotten a kill there. That has been somewhat instrumental. I don't think it was actually that helped them conclude the round, per se. But now Searson's also made his way up the A ramp. They're taking a lot of liberties here. That's a op shot miss just by a minutia, but it cost them a lot.
Xantares with that smoke is just going to use it to bail out. Nobody was really there giving them trades. I thought maybe Sicko with his op peeks over stairs and that's where Searson falls from, but nope. A near miss costs him. Dexter, gotta be cautious as they're about to boost right in. Oh, and he can't best Tizian. Again, Tizian making space when they're on the back foot. Trying to clamber back into a round where Renegades had an edge. Of course, not nearly over. Bomb doubles back through Palace with a player by his side. But I mean, Tizian, He's here to murder any rotations.
It's been very good on entries in the past. Here's just an opening kill to bring it back. 5v4 to 4v4. 2 pushed up in halls. Tizian doesn't have to move. He's just causing a whole bunch of hysteria on the CT side in their communication.
Awesome.
And he'll come through to finish the job. Taps in. That's a kill they don't even need at this point. Easy for Tizian, a 1-tap to end it.
And yeah, hook, line, and sinker. I was about to say, you keep bomb with 2 players inside of Palace. The CT's aware that somebody's holding for rotate, somebody's in their back line, and that unnecessary kill on the back of the B site is what causes the market player to make noise, allow Tizian to flank. Sure, tabseN comes out from Palace, and he just seems like he's a solo player, not there with bomb. Look at Ince, unfortunately made to be a fool, traded on that bomb site, so big brain plays.
Yeah, that's a well-crafted round, a very nice default. It's pretty complex in a lot of regards, and as you mentioned, tabseN's kill kind of is the catalyst for the rest of the frags as well. So it's nice to have that kind of individual effort on the other side of the map, and for the A players and mid players to coordinate with it and ride off that momentum.
T-spawn push, bound to be caught. This is a way for Renegades to cheat some players elsewhere. Although, so under-equipped for the situation. Holds down mouse 1, clears Dexter from connector. Renegades are just gonna forego the B bomb site, despite that being where Big looked to sink their teeth.
This is a big match.
It is.
Not just for the money that's on the line, but obviously the ESL Pro Tour.
Yeah, and I would say more directly important, that slot at DreamHack Masters Youngship.
Exactly.
A big one.
Winner of this gets a direct invite. And it would be nuts to see Big or Renegades there.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a collection of events for Renegades at that point, right? They've qualified for Katowice, so for them to have a Masters run, a DreamHack Masters run right before it.
It's like the Renegades never left.
Yeah. Aussie's all over. But for Big, I would say it'd be a more of a shocker because we've had no indicator as to this success from them. This level of play kind of shocks us all, but it's a welcome surprise. I mean, it's been far too long that we've kind of seen Big down in the depths of CS. Right now, they have themselves a hell of a lead. 8-4 on the T side of their map choice. But a buyback from Renegades here, not too far gone. They've had chances.
Really feel like Renegades have been looking good in a lot of ways on this map so far, so I wouldn't write them out of the half just yet. Searson gets killed by Sicko. He's too prepared. He's very fast in those situations. He's the type of player to make the play that Searson just made, so you can't really give him a taste of his own medicine. He's just going to reject it. Santerra's down to half. Dexter above the smoking connector. He's fine being here. He trusts his teammate behind him. It's a fight below. He just misses that action. It's actually tabseN to capitalize.
Yeah, already looking towards Catwalk 2. Hoping to create more space here. Looking to alleviate pressure from the T's that look to exit onto A. Ince takes so much damage, but at least he's still standing. And Sicko's AWP does cut off the connector player, so it's all in from Big base on the Ramp Palace split. Minute for them to play with. If they do decide to just pump the brakes here, they could.
Yeah, and I think Renegades need to pump the brakes as well. There's just no reason for them to move too much. 50 seconds left on the clock, so it could be a hasty rotation back. But there's just no need to try to give up a kill when they have a fast way to get back to be much faster than the other team. So they can take time to think and then scour their options on mid or take this liberty like Malta is. Ooh. He can start to walk and wait now.
He could find this bomb carrier. Tizian's making a bunch of noise and he's playing around with grenades. That's gonna cost him. Malta, you said it, he had the faster rotation, but he opts not to take it. No, uses underpass to cut off bomb and is rewarded a kill. Hito grabs the op, and at the 10-second mark, no chance for him to grab that bomb. He just wants to get away with this cannon.
When all is said and done, it's already a really good half for Big. The fact that they got these 8 rounds nice and quickly, so it just frees up a lot of the pressure on them. I think that's solid for the Renegades. They're coming back. You know, they had 4. They were stuck on 4 rounds for a minute, but they are back to it. That's a nice one to pull it back. after this, I mean, they got to go with reactive plays, I think, at first, just because of how quickly that big are playing. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to get kills. They just need to be able to nail them. Sicko is the man of the hour in this round, where he's able to get that fast cap play as well as the next player to come up connector. You know, that's the high impact situation, or Ortiz are trying to breach enemy lines. It's all about connector in that moment. Dexter got caught off guard, but he's still a very apt connector player. Very dangerous, especially when they leave him alone. He knows when he can push. I think that's one of the hallmarks of his play.
Yeah, really good risk assessment.
He's not scared, and he has such a good he has such good court vision where he can tell when it's safe to get out of your comfort zone, get out of connector, go for a flank. And because he's so in tune with that timing, it's always such a fantastic flank because it's not so late that they'll clear him later. It's always so early. They're like, how the hell did he know?
Sicko makes the jump. Crucial. Position that op early. They're just going to come barreling past him, but nobody gives him a chance at a shot. And he hasn't seen anything, so we just spoke of Dexter and his risk assessment. Searson takes down that AWP player, and that's going to completely open up window now. They can slip one behind Renegades before they realize
oh my God,
what is going on.
Yeah, no one's even picked this up. I mean, Dexter and Sicko know that this was a potentiality, but did they know it was going to happen this quickly?
That's the thing. It's, again, the pace. I mean, just executions on the B site, all too easy. You got to give them props. I mean, it's not like they're just throwing out these wild new plays whatsoever, Mohan, but it's just the pace at which they're doing everything.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's the tempo.
It's intoxicating.
I think it's the tempo that's really making this difficult for the Renegades. But you think there should be an adjustment there because Dexter does hear footsteps close knit. Plus, they have two players in B. You're down to men. You're not going to overstack B unless you think it's B via Cat or via Halls. Usually, you're going to leave one there. And then they could have somebody that's in the market watching the back of window. That would have been a free kill if they made that adjustment early. They seem convinced that it was some type of B play, but they did hear multiple footsteps at mid. So I'm not sure if the communication gave the B players enough of a hint, but they were caught with their pants down. They had no idea that this was going to happen.
Right. What's wild is it looks to me just there that the first player he killed on site was just moving from watching Cat because of the smoke, grenades, and all that, which had called his attention, to going back and looking at market window. But again, 2 seconds of a difference is all that it takes, and Renegade's backline falls.
Oh, this is tough. They went for the doubles. They went for the double underpass push, but they're not quick enough. That smoke's not going to do enough either. Dexter goes down. They're on a low buy. And Sicko's already low as well.
Yo, Big are so focused at the moment, and everybody's hitting shots. Santerra's single-handedly dispatching the A site. Sicko is ready to peek out and take him down. And with the scout now, a bit of a saving grace, but 2 versus 4, and Sicko being on 16 health already, they could try and scramble back over to the B site. It is the all-in, the 15th round of this half already. I know it doesn't seem like this half has had 15 rounds, Mohan, but the pace is so quick. They know where he's at. They take him straight down. Big with 10 rounds on the T side of Mirage. Blink and you missed it. A 4-1 start turned 10-5 by Big.
What a recovery.
We'll be back after the break for the second half.
And I wear this badge upon me, 'cause I live and die for freedom every day of my life. Out on the western trails, out on the western trails.
Big did not roll out of bed today to play games, Launders. They came to win. That was one of the fastest halves we've had all weekend long.
I'm shocked at the pace of it, and just because the narrative when we first started with the 4-1, I thought it seemed like Renegades were going to come out with a much better half, and they were also going to do it early. But instead, everything just turned on them so quickly, and it felt like it was because of a couple of rounds where Big were just able to outgun them on their sites, even though they had great setups. And then from there, they started to play mind games and get away with a lot more creative plays, those fast window aggressions. I think they were banking on Renegade's communication, just lagging behind a bit too much, and it was so nice to watch. It was really cool to see Big just kind of take control of that half so quickly.
Yeah, it wasn't even these pile-ups of bodies either. There were just times where a single player would walk out Palace and get a multi-kill. Any time there was an individual showing we had to highlight, it seemed to be on the side of Big, but here we are, the second pistol. Keto allowing them out for Palace, looking to tap a couple heads here. He does have teammates, but they're pinned behind smoke, so him holding his ground is excellent for Big. Oh, another one through smoke. They got onto the bomb site, but they got no further. Completely suffocated
Renegades
once
don't
they
need
hit
this.
it.
Renegades do not need this right now. They're not even going to have a chance to get back into this half. Yeah, it's already a little bit too late with that. That's an insane pistol. Such a clean one, and just to show just how fierce they're being right now. Big look fantastic, and everything is just through smokes. They have no chance to cross. There's not even a way for them to get in it and mind game people. They're killed off audibles.
A couple of frag grenades and a P250. Ooh, yeah, that's right.
That's a very, very hardy grenade.
Makes the most of it, but there's a bit of a fumble. Keto caught on the top of ticket. That's going to enable the bomb plant. So all things considered, Renegades will walk away with a somewhat of a smile. Any follow-up frags would just be icing on the cake. Tabson confident as ever.
Oh, okay.
He's got Santeras behind him. And Big, they just look comfortable. They're on cruise control at the moment.
That's the thing. It's cruise control. They don't even have to wake up yet until Renegades make them.
Cruise control at 200 kilometers an hour.
They're going fast down the Autobahn.
Yeah.
No one's stopping them.
No one can catch up yet, but it's hard to catch up when playing with just pistols. So, Renegades, let's see what they can do with a buy.
I'm sure if you're the Renegades, like, oh, that sucks. We lost the pistol in the second half. It's fine because we have just a new chance to prove ourselves. Forget about the fact that we had such a bad CT half or just couldn't hold on to our lead. They've got their full guns, every piece of utility they want. It's a heavy Halls presence, some mid control to bait attention. They've actually got 2 players from Big up on Cat as well. A is the correct site to take. Keto is here all alone. He's got a lot to do. He's playing close A ramp as well. He'll be first to die nice and early. And at best, you can try to get 2 if possible, but almost certainly he's going to die.
Grenade over, and Malta just insta headshot. Falls out from the Palace. 2 rounds now where Keto's fallen on the A site right out the gate, but the retake was solid last time. Here we go with guns. They get up and close and personal quickly, trying to play around the ticket. Here's Searson off of the stairs, and another! He sees him, or at least he should have. Regardless, Sicko is in the 1 versus 3, completely pinned down in this position. He's given a bit of a space to work with, but here comes that ramp hit from Tizian. And Sicko, you can try and retract yourself as far back as possible, but you should be doomed. He fights as he might, and there he goes.
Wow.
Tizian takes the high road and comes down the ladder for the frag.
Oh my God.
13-5.
Attack from literally every single angle, and that is just such a good way to exemplify how well that retake went. Big are playing their post plants just as well as they're playing their retakes now. That's awesome to see on Mirage. Because what a lot of these rounds are going to come down to. Allowing the bomb to go down is fine. If Searson can make plays like this, if they can stay as cohesive as they did until those final moments every single round, it's going to be way too hard for the Renegades to do anything about it. They're on a very low buy. We don't even have a single flashbang to their names. It's only 3 smokes. And they've got to put it together. It's something where with this low utility, you're not going to be able to play mid-control at all. It's not even an option. They can feign it to try to bait out utility. Tabson's actually going to use this as his lure inward. He's made some noise jumping up, but you got to believe he's running on high on confidence. The flash comes out, the turn is out for an inst, and he still ends up dying.
Here we go, man advantage for Renegades. Working with a favorable edge for once.
Yeah, it seems like forever. They've had a good start to the round.
Where do they go from here, though? I mean, you can see Big, they're already making moves, right? They're in damage control so quickly, almost as quickly as they were setting the tempo on the T side. Meanwhile, Renegades, sure, they've got bodies here in middle, but they haven't gotten anybody boosted yet. They're just kind of playing around with their positions. I feel like Big are already up to no good. They're understanding what's going on here. Xanteras, if that smoke fades, he could be compromised as being pressured, but he also doesn't have to stick around. He will choose to go back in.
We see the difference now. He is aware. Oh my God, what an adjustment. Goodbye, Dexter.
Now 20 and 9, and Keto just one tap down cat into Malta 2.
Make it another.
Very well could be. Renegades trying as they might to get their footing on this B side. They've been completely turned around. They've been completely turned inside out. Pat,
God damn.
Blown away in the wind. Tabson. Look at that jubilation, Launders.
You know, he's light on the trigger right now. You know, he's just pressing it just with the faintest push.
Yeah.
He knows exactly how much pressure to put on it. He's using very few bullets.
A sweet lover.
And it's not only him. It feels like Xanteras' energy transferred into Keto.
I mean, this is what, when we saw this project form, Xanteras coming to Big, this is what was supposed to be, you know, the heaviest part about it was Xanteras and Tabson. Like, that was such a fear-inducing frag duo,
Yeah.
but we haven't seen it, Mohan.
There's already a difference between them and the Renegades. I mean, you're already on 14-5.
I feel like we've gone back in time in all the best ways. Here's Xanteras again, just confidently dealing with these players in mid, and understandably with just these pistols, Renegades, they were trying to get some money up, trying to make that 10-round overtime run, which seems impossible. More and more so as these rounds continue to unfold, and Big ahead more than ever.
We're already seeing two things that were a lot better with Xanteras and Window. He's taking care of Window the whole time, right? He's the janitor in that place. He's never leaving his post either. When he does, it's because he's in front of it in the bottom of connector. Whereas also on the B side, you're having players who are fragging a lot better. Keto, he must be on a new diet because he's looking very sharp. So there's not the same amount of holes that we're seeing on Big CT side as we saw on the Renegades. Stark contrast so far, and this is almost over already.
Dude, they are everywhere. They're in the walls, Launders. No matter where Renegades try to head, they're met by resistance and crisp shots across the board. If it's not Xanteras, it's Tabson or Keto. And now Searson's off as well. Just so many wounding frags. Renegades in a 2 versus 5. And what's going to be one of the most lopsided scores of the weekend. They can't find a foot for free. Xanteras seals the deal, and Big have won this map in such a convincing fashion.
Have you ever seen anything like it? It was so fast, it was so decisive, and it was versus a team who looked so good at the beginning. I can't remember the last time I've seen a map like that.
That was a hell of a 180.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at a loss for words,
right.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, we sat down for this map, I'm getting ready for a juicy BO3, and Big just kind of engulfed their appetizer, man.
Yeah.
That's a one bite.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm glad it's not my job to make sense of that. Let's get this one back over to the desk.
What a stunning performance there from Big. I think we echo your sentiments there, Scrawny. We are all lost for words, but who else is going to be lost for words? It's going to be Renegades. What happened there? We saw them placing so good this morning. It's just a different story on this game.
You know, I think it's going to be hard for us to make sense of what happened. I can mostly feel what Renegade is going through right now, because I have played against the crowd. It has happened to me in the past. And sometimes you feel like the players against you are just thinking faster, acting faster. You never make the right call. It was the case. So many of these rounds were 5v4, v3, v2, v1. End of story. I mean, Big were everywhere. They were taking every timing they had possibly. They were winning 80% of every duel they were taking. Sometimes you just give up. There's nothing Renegades could do on this map.
And it definitely helps that every single one of the big players, anytime they got contact, anytime they ran into a duel, they got their kill within a split second.
Right.
I think every single round on this Mirage ended by the time a minute came around. And I think that definitely is not a good sign for Renegades. I think they're going to have to slow things down because we have to remember one of the strengths of this Renegade side is allowing Dexter to run his shenanigans, allow Dexter to find some flanks, find some holes, and that's definitely his strength. And in this matchup, he never found those holes, but he never had the opportunity to because these rounds ended by the time a minute came around.
It must be so frustrating for the side of Renegades, especially after such a stellar performance earlier this morning. And I was going to bring up the great T sides of Big, but I'm going to move on to go to the CT sides because it was absolutely flawless from them. Actually 5 in a row, done and dusted. Wipe your hands, we're going to a second map. And I'm wondering whether they're going to do it in 2.
Looks like it. Honestly, it looks like it. I mean, I'm not sure what I can give you to say, no, you know what, Renegade is going to come back. I will still say I have doubted them the whole weekend long, and they have proven me wrong time and time again. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. This is when the charisma of a player or in-game leader like Dexter is going to be important, right? We just failed. We failed our entry into this grand final. That happens, it's fine. It's the BO3. It's take time to regather, recompose, focus for the next lap. After all, they only lost Big's map pick. It's not anything worse than that, but you have to recompose, you have to get into the game, because let's remember, this was 4-1 Renegades. 4-1 turned into 16-5. They haven't seen the sun in a lot of rounds, and now this is going to take some resilience to get back into the second map.
I mean, they're from Australia. They're used to the sun coming up from there. I mean, I have to take that.
You know what? I will give
sorry.
it to you. I'll give that one. You can have it.
But I also want to pick up on a very interesting point. You obviously brought up there, it was Mirage. This was Big's map pick, but I think it was the fashion that we didn't typically expect them to see coming into that. If you're on the side of Renegades, who are you kind of going to be focusing on? Because there are so many big names. Keto, Zantares, even Tabs ended on 100 ADR. There's so many names, and you can't counter all of them at the same time. What are you going to be focusing on?
I think you definitely have to go back to Dexter. I know he's a member that we've consistently been talking about all weekend long, but the one great thing about Dexter is he doesn't falter when he's in a tough position. When the pressure is on, that's when he shines. So I think going on to Dust 2, it should certainly be a different look because Mirage, we have to remember that mid-control, it generally happens right in the beginning of the round. And when you're on the worst end of the stick of that mid-control, you're gonna lose the round a lot earlier than you want. So I think on Dust 2, they're gonna be able to slow things down. If they don't wanna take that long spawn, it's fine. And they really have to allow Dexter to find his groove, get into the moment, get into the match, and see if he can make things open because Renegades didn't find any openings in this first map.
I do want to pick up on a slight silver lining in this big cloud for Renegades. Obviously, Seiko was, yeah, we've got to keep a positive face, haven't we, Maniac? Seiko was the only person to go positive with a KD ratio in that last matchup. And they were a few moments where it looked like he was kind of coming out. I'm hoping that hasn't sort of dampened his spirits and he's going to come out even stronger on Dust 2.
I mean, you got to hope so. And if you're Seiko, on Dust 2, that is definitely a terrain where you can have some impact. Not only is the AWP very much potent on that map for sure, but I think that in that position, when you have a team where no one is really feeling it, the mood isn't really there, you don't have the confidence, this is your role as an AWP to step up, go and take the duels and give that 5v4. I think if you're Renegades, you just need 1, 2, 3 rounds to start feeling it again. Suddenly the communication becomes smoother, but the AWP has to be that person to do that. We have seen, for example, Kadian do it for Heroic. Now Seiko has to do it, and as you said, he was the one shining light, if there was ever any light, on that Mirage map.
Well, it's all come down to this. Will Big do it in 2 maps, or will Renegades return on Dust 2 and take it to a third? Find out after this.